Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. I'm Christian Hunt, and that guy over there is
Chris Vaca. Christian, how you doing, my man, on this steamy and hot Wednesday afternoon, my guy?
doing pretty good, man. Pretty cool and breezy over here. You know, it's pretty cool and breezy, Chris. So no complaints over here. I thought I needed to put a sweater on over here. You're making it sound like it's a jungle paradise.
Bro, it's 76 degrees in this room right now with my PC just warming it up. So, yeah, it's plenty warm here. You probably got that house set on 52 degrees, knowing you.
See my breath through the cold, I guess.
Right.
I think I've also been sick for a little bit too, so that probably was playing in. That's probably playing into it. We got Daniel coming back in here, ready for some football. Man, that is the truth. I think we're all ready for a little bit of some football to start. We talked about it last week, Chris. It's like the preseason's underway, and it's like everybody's reporting for fall camps for the college, and it's like, just give us some real football.
Yeah, no, it's right around the corner, guys. Less than basically 10 days, dude. I am excited. Like Daniel said, hell yeah. Yeah, Florida State, Georgia Tech, man. It's going to be right around the corner. Christian, who are you taking in that game? You think that game's going to be close?
I think it'll be close. Neutral site game. Florida State replaces a lot. I think Tech gets back, they get back a little bit of production as well, a lot of production. So I think Florida State's a little more talented. I think that'll kind of pull away later in that game. Again, in that Ireland game, we see weird shit happen all the time.
Yeah, no, we do. I actually, I did a betting video for that already. I released it, and I was looking at the history of that game. Other than last year when I think it was Notre Dame and Army played, right? We did that game. We broadcast.
Or was it Navy?
Or Navy, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
It was like 41-3. It was a blowout. But like the previous 4 or 5 games of that, they all came down to a field goal. Like that's including the Nebraska Northwestern game. A couple of years ago, we remember that, how the Huskers lost Northwestern, the 1-10 team. But yeah, no, I expect this game to be pretty close too, Christian. I do. I think Florida State's definitely the better team with the more talent, but I hope it's a good one, man. There's only a couple of games on week 0, so I'm excited.
And like you said too, like that game last year, I remember it pissed me off because, first of all, Navy still runs the triple option, which I understand. They're a service academy. They're not going to get some 6'7", 316-pound offensive tackle that was a 5-star to come to a service academy, right? The military has certain limitations. You have to be able to go run for distance and do certain things to go to the service academy. So, like, I get that, right? But I think on the other side of that, it was like for running the triple option, like they would snap the ball with just way too much time on the play clock. Like they would snap it with like 15, 16 seconds. And it was just like, slow it down. And they were getting first downs early in that game. I just thought they could have really tried to play the possession game and try to make it a close game, but they didn't do it.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. They should have took as much time as possible, play a very conservative game offensively and limit possessions for Notre Dame. That game actually probably would have been a game, if they wouldn't have done that. But we remember they threw the ball, 3 times at the end of the game there, and then I understood why they actually run the triple option, because that kid could throw for shit. And he looked like that guy from Iowa last year, quarterback, your body double, as we call him.
Right.
All right. Talking about Navy today. Holy shit. Want to open up with that.
Right? My God. A little throwback there for you. Well, Chris, let's look at just some general going-ons of college football right now. A lot of, we talked about this when we got on the show. If you were refreshing ESPN over the last 2-3 days, the headlines kept coming in, whether it was college or the NFL, a lot of season-ending injuries. I don't remember looking back or having a year where there's been so many season-ending injuries to people.
Yeah, it seems like it's at an all-time high. I mean, even the NFL, right? J.J. McCarthy goes down yesterday, or they found out that, he tore his ACL. And, man, Texas is another running back for Texas. They're down 2 running backs for the season now. And, Missouri's D-end, which obviously this kid's pretty good too. He's out. I mean, it's crazy this offseason, dude. And you never want to see injuries, but we talked about it a ton on this show, man. It's going to happen. But, at this rate, it's crazy. I hope it stops, to be honest with you. I like watching teams with their full arsenal of players, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and it's unfortunate. I know with the Texas situation, that leaves them with only 3 3 scholarship running backs, which is really, really tough. Even for an NFL team with like a 53-man roster, I mean, that's obviously not great. But again, like I think even Quinn Ewers said, like I don't mind shouldering some of that burden. Like if I have to step up and run, I don't think that would be the optimistic thing. Like again, like we talk about, like I don't think you want to try to put yourself in like a LSU situation where
no, not to mention, Christian. I mean, Quinn Ewers has a history of getting hurt as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like he's been hurt the last couple seasons on and off.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean LSU obviously had a great season last year, like offensively. I don't think that was their issue. But I also think too, like they relied so much on Jaden Daniels to run that, like you said, with Quinn Ewers' injury history, it's not going to be a good combination.
I agree.
Yeah, looking here at Tyler Van Dyke wins the Wisconsin quarterback job. Is this shock? This shocks absolutely nobody. I feel like, right?
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Mordecai ain't there anymore, is he? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here. I don't think he is.
I don't think he is, though.
No, Tyler Van Dyke was going to get the job regardless, man. I mean, this kid, we saw him play at Miami a couple years ago, was a Heisman front runner for part of the season. Then last year even struggled at times mightily at the end of the year. Yeah, I think he's going to definitely do some things this year. I think he's a kid you kind of watch out for in the Big Ten personally. I like the kid. I think he'll fit in well with that program. But, man, you're right. Yeah, I'm surprised that was one of their headlines. It's like, yeah, who was going to beat him out,
Yeah, I mean, they have Braden Locke, who I think played for him last year. But I mean, still, I mean, we know what Van Dyke was last year. He was a borderline, I would say, like going into the year, a lot of people said, hey, he might potentially have a Heisman-like season, and that was like probably, obviously looking back, that was a major stretch. But I mean, I remember like there was a lot of talk about him being like a first-round draft, at the quarterback position. And obviously, that didn't. He just had a very up and down season, and I think he struggled with turnovers. He'd look really, really good. Like the game against Texas A&M, he balled out, and then like he just went cold in certain games. You know what I mean? Like who was it? They played like North Carolina, was it? Where he threw some interceptions and struggled a lot.
It was. I do know for a fact because I bet on this game in particular was the Florida State game. Kind of at the end of the year last year, he played so bad they yanked him in the first half because he had a couple turnovers, and they put in some kid I never even heard of. And Miami was in that game the entire time trying to knock off Florida State. They were like 17-point underdogs, almost did it, but I couldn't believe it because even the announcers in that game were like, man, they're pulling this kid. Like he was looking, Christian, he looked terrible at times. I mean, and I'm not knocking the kid. I like him. It was just, man, you see that sometimes some players are very inconsistent, man. And I don't know if he got in his own head or what. I was not shocked, though, that he moved on from Miami, though, and went somewhere else, which I think hopefully will better his career. And I think he'll have a decent season at Wisconsin this year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I'll say this because I just kind of read the first headline here. How does Penn State finally beat Ohio State and Michigan? By taking way more risks? Your thoughts, Chris?
Drew Aller, going to have to complete some passes, push the ball down the field. We saw it last year, Christian. Ohio State game, they played them incredibly tough. And that was a good Ohio State team with a good defense. I get all that. But, man, he's got to play better, man. I know everybody tells me not to shit on Drew Aller. He's a 5-star quarter. I get all that, but he doesn't turn it over. He had 20-some touchdowns, 2 interceptions last year. That's great. But, man, at the end of the day, dude, you got to put up more points than 3 and 15 or whatever. You put 3 up against, I think, Ohio State, and they put about 10 or 12 against Michigan. I mean, you got to be able to score more points than that, Christian.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think the other side of it too is, like what Michigan and Ohio State both want to do and what they've kind of transitioned to over the last few, for the last few years has been Ohio State got this way last year with Kyle McCord, I feel like, but Michigan's been this way for a while. Is possession, running the football, just trying to chew that clock like a boa constrictor. So if you're Penn State, like, you do, like Chris said, you do want to have an offense, obviously, that can put up some points. But I think, too, it's just as simple as stop somebody from freaking running the ball down your throat 32 times.
Oh, my God, you brought that up against Michigan, right? What is that, 32 straight runs in the second half of that game? I remember texting you that Saturday, are you watching this? I could not believe that J.J. McCarthy didn't throw a single freaking pass in the second half against a very good Penn State defense. I mean, they were really good, but damn, man, it was that was painful to watch last year, especially. So I think you're right, though. They need to tighten it up against those two teams for sure.
Daniel's still in there. We got Zach. What's going on?
Yeah, Zach, my buddy, how you been, man? Good to see you guys stopping in, checking out the channel here and hanging out with the I-80 boys on this beautiful 52-degree day here in Christian's basement.
Christian just chugging a whole gallon of milk over there. Jesus Christ, it's water. I guess it kind of would look like milk.
I had to say what I had to say,
dude. My dad told me he grew up in Wichita Falls, Texas, and he said, you know, when I was in high school, we had this big guy. I think he went to like Baylor or something like that. Played like, I don't know, like on their offensive line. He said he'd get to school every day, and he'd have like a whole container of cereal, and he'd have a whole gallon of milk with him, and he would just pour it in there and just eat it out of the container. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Can I get on that diet?
God damn, man. Yeah, no, that's impressive to say the least. But yeah, no, what's up, guys? Appreciate you guys stopping by. It's awesome to see you guys. Like I said, we're right around the corner from some football here. We got a couple hot topics today we're going to talk about. Maybe Christian and I agree, maybe we don't. We'll find out though.
Yeah, and we'll jump into that just in a second. Just want to point this out. Harbaugh no longer Michigan's honorary captain. I thought that was, you know, when they said that, I was like, really? You could have waited to it. Maybe.
Yeah, I figured, you know what, I had to laugh when I saw that this morning because I know we were poking fun at it last week. I think it was last week on this show, pointing a little fun at that, how that works. But man, I'll be happy though, Christian, when this whole Michigan talk is done, though. This whole scandal thing, all that crap. You know what I mean? I'm getting tired of hearing about it. I swear, every time I turn on ESPN or Fox or whoever it is, man, it's always some conspiracy theory going on.
No, I agree with you too. And I think after this year, it'll probably die. It'll be kind of put to rest, and then Harbaugh will, you know, do his thing, and then he'll try to make one more run at college football when you think he's done and gone. So we'll see.
Oh yeah.
All right, Chris, get into our first topic here. Who can win the Big 12? It's like I'll play Jeopardy, I feel like. Anything can happen.
Yeah. I could start us off here, Christian, if you don't mind. I said it before earlier this summer, man. I like Utah this year a lot. Why? Kyle Whittingham. I swear he gets more out of anybody in the country as far as coaching goes. I think that defense is going to be very good. We get Cam Rising, your boy, back for his 100th year playing football. And I think they got just as good as chances anyway with the schedule that they have at place. We know K-State's going to be very good under Chris Kleiman. We know that Avery Johnson, he's pretty good, man. You saw him in the bowl game last year. He looked really good. I don't know, Christian. I want to ask you this question before we really get into this. Like, who's your kind of team you think in the Big 12 this year? I know it's like throwing a dart at a dartboard, but who you got, man?
You know, your heart could make a lot of your heart's going to say a couple things. I think for me, just looking at it, a team that kind of stands out, Oklahoma State. And, you know, I think with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, like, obviously we know, hey, like Oklahoma State hasn't just lost to those teams. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't, you know, they've lost to, you know, other teams as well. But I feel like with Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12, it kind of like became Oklahoma State is like the biggest name program, I feel like, in that conference, you know, still. And so to me, I mean, they get their quarterback back, they get the running back back. Well, hopefully, you know, Mike Gundy's not out here, you know, drinking and driving and doing all kinds of crazy shit. But, you know, we'll see what happens there. No, I think, like I said, I mean, I really like Utah. You know, that would probably be my pick, but I got to be a little different than you. So I'm going to probably side with Oklahoma State in this.
Do you have any interest in Kansas potentially winning it this year?
I like Kansas. You know, I think didn't Kansas get a shit ton of production back too?
Yes, they get Daniels, that kid, back. He did get hurt during the season last year. Lance Leopold's probably the hottest coach in college football. That guy, what he's done at Kansas in 2 years, man, has been like uber impressive. And if you look at their schedule, man, they only have basically K-State on there. They avoid Utah, Arizona, I think, and Oklahoma State. They have a chance to, obviously make a Big 12 title game if things go well. But I was kind of curious your thoughts on Kansas, because Kansas and Arizona, actually, Christian. I want to throw in Arizona too. We caught a lot of flack for an Arizona video that we put out. What do you got?
It's going to be tough. I think Arizona they had a really great season last year. I think they're going to an easier conference because, I think they're going to an easier conference, but I think they also lost a lot. They get back a lot, mainly in their quarterback and that wide receiver, Noah Fafita, and then who's their receiver, McMillan, or
Yep.
Trying to think who it is, somebody like that. But I know that they got like a great combination there. But yeah, man, I think they lost a good chunk of that defense too, even though somebody tried to like literally side off all of the defense like we've heard about them.
Yeah, no, Arizona, it'll be decent. I'm not as high on them as some people. I know I've saw other polls and people taking Arizona. You guys are, people are sleeping on them, blah, blah, blah. But I'm with you with the Oklahoma State pick, by the way. I do like them a lot this year. I think they're going to be a very good football team over there. I do like K-State. Utah's obviously probably a homer approach to that as well. They're favored actually currently to win the Big 12. But one team I want to mention too, Christian, we talked about them a little bit last week. I don't be surprised or shocked if Central Florida has a really good year this year. I know you like them as well.
Yeah, like I said, I think Central Florida had kind of a down year last year. It was their first year in the Big 12, and so that might probably kind of play into it a little bit, But I think that they're in for like a rebound type year this year. Like I said, it's Gus Malzahn, right? He's the one over there that's running that. Former Auburn coach. So I think I like him as a coach. I think he didn't live up to a lot of the standards at Auburn, but I think he's a really good coach. So
yeah.
Let me throw another name out there for you, Chris.
Oh boy,
West Virginia.
No, I know you were going there with it. Me and you have been back and forth on West Virginia all year. You're loving yourself some Neil Brown again. I get it. I understand they had a really good year last year. I think it's an outlier year personally for me in West Virginia, but tell me why I'm wrong.
It's Neil Brown. They get their quarterback back, who's a Green.
Yes.
Look, Neil Brown, and maybe it's a situation where he escaped the hot seat. He kind of cooled that off a little bit. Maybe they are going to disappoint. But I feel like outside of the Penn State game last year, they went on a run. And then they went to go play Houston, I think, on the road, and they got clipped in a wild game. That was one of the wilder finishes to a college football game. Like, they did everything right to win that game. It's just Houston hit like a Hail Mary at the end to win it and walk off.
Okay. Then if you're going West Virginia route, where's Colorado finishing this year?
Jesus Christ.
Your boy, Deion Sanders.
Oh, my God. No, Colorado has talent. They have talent. Like, don't get me wrong. I think they're better than they were last year. I think Deion's got a little more infrastructure in there. He replaced both coordinators, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, he replaced both coordinators, so I wasn't worried about their offense.
No.
If anything, I was more worried about their defense. So,
lack thereof.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing, that kind of fits actually not that bad into the Big 12. So
no,
I think Colorado will be okay, but I think that, like, here's what I'll say: Colorado can cause chaos, but I don't think that they can win the Big 12, let alone make it to the Big 12 championship game.
Okay.
By that, what I mean is, I think that they could have a couple games this year that they ruin somebody's chance at the Big 12. But I think that they'll have more games where they like have the Stanford game like last year, where there's just major letdowns.
I agree with you. They finished the season pretty poorly last year because they actually had to play some teams at the end of the year there. I think Colorado will be at their best the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. I think because they have zero depth, though, Christian, still on that team. They don't have a lot of depth. I think they're gonna lose some teams they shouldn't, and they might knock off somebody that they shouldn't either. I agree with you on that one. That definitely can happen with them. Over or under 6 wins for Colorado this year, Christian?
Damn, I mean, that's probably what they got pegged at, right? Is like 6 wins, like 6.5, 5.5. Shit. I don't know. You know what? Give me the over. I know you're gonna think I'm crazy.
Yeah,
I think they could. If I have to, like, I'll say it. I think 6 wins is probably spot on. I think they could get to like 7 and 5.
Okay. All right.
Which wouldn't that be some shit if that was good enough to fucking win the Big 12?
Yeah, well, yeah, watch a bunch of teams go like 7-5, 8-4. Yeah, I'll tell you what,
So,
dude. Every year it's a different team, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
What about Kansas State?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. Yeah, I like K-State
Oh,
this
yeah.
year a lot. I like K-State a lot. Chris Kleiman, dude. I think Avery Johnson. I said it in my my betting video about the Heisman. I put a little money on him. I know his really high plus odds, like 4,000 or 3,500, but I'm telling you, man, I think he's going to be better than Will Howard was there. I do. I liked him a lot. If you saw him in the bowl game last year, I know it's a bowl game, say what you will, but he played really, really well, and he can move, man. He's an athletic dude. And one thing about K-State, same with Kyle Whittingham and Utah Christian, they play really good defense over there.
Texas, Colorado's got some payback coming this year.
I can't agree with the statement more. 100%. I actually turned down to go to that game, Christian, the other day. Why? Previous 6 games I've been to, we've lost. So I'm not going. Pencil a dub for Nebraska week 2.
The last one you went to was what, Oklahoma?
Yeah, I didn't go to a game last year, and then 2 years ago went to the Oklahoma Mickey Joseph game. That was 41-10, and that was hard. Oklahoma didn't win a single game after that, by the way. Yeah, I'll leave that there.
Oh, Jesus. Is Deion done after his kids are gone? I think so.
100%.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, Deion's a very polarizing figure. And I mean, he's pretty much coached Shador and I would say not Shiloh, but Shador anyways, for most of
his whole life.
For his whole life. Yeah. I mean, really his whole life.
Yep.
So it's like, once he's gone, I think he looks at Travis Hunter kind of like, like a son. And so
yeah,
literally losing 2 of his sons and then Travis Hunter, it's going to be pretty tough. And again, Deion kind of said, I mean, it's not anything uncommon, like what Deion did. I think, it was just very polarizing when he said, if you don't like it, go hit the portal. And he started encouraging kids to transfer. Like that's been done throughout the history of time with college programs where they encourage kids to transfer. Deion just, I guess, had the gumption to put it on social media and to put it out there. So I don't necessarily agree with it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a very personal thing that's probably being put out there, but it is what it is. I think he's gone. You know what I mean? Like, I think I tell you a spot that I said that you're like, nah, I don't know about that. Let's say Colorado mess around. They do have a somewhat decent season this year. What about the Cowboys? You know what I'm saying? What if Dallas doesn't doesn't win in the playoffs and they say we're going to unload Dak and we're going to maybe look at taking a flyer on Shador and then bringing in Deion?
Well, I agree. Dallas Cowboys definitely could do that. Dak's gone after this year. I can almost pencil that in as chalk. And I could see them taking, Shador because he's an uber talented quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But what's Deion going to do? Sell popcorn? I mean, what he ain't a coach, man. In the NFL, man, they don't F around. When it comes to that, he's not. You got to be an X's and O's guy to coach NFL teams, man. A lot of those guys, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, these guys are smart dudes, man. Really smart dudes, XO wise. I just don't see where what was he, like a teen mom or what? I mean, was he doing hyping up the Cowboys fan base? Like, I don't know what he would do though. I could see him being a part of that and following his son around, no doubt. I just don't think he's going to be a coach. I mean, unless they make like some weird position for him, but I mean, he ain't going to be a head coach, man. Not in the NFL. There's no way. There's too many good NFL coaches out there.
Somebody will do it, man. I think the Dallas Cowboys are crazy enough to do it.
Jerry Jones, yeah.
And that man's like, it's a business. You know what I'm saying? If we're not going to win in the playoffs, like at least let's do it in style.
He is the guy that says any attention's good attention. So.
Yeah. Chris, we'll jump into this here. One of our favorite segments, hot take. Hot take, a team outside of the SEC/Big 10 makes the Natty. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, yeah, you're going to pull it up. I just, let's be honest, Georgia's number 1 for a reason. Then it's the Ohio State, Oregon debate at 2, right? 3. Texas is very good. They're highly rated this year. We expect a lot from them. Alabama's another team that people can't decide whether they're a top 5 team or a top 10 team. I don't see anybody outside those 2 conferences winning it this year, Christian. I just don't. I think the upper half of the SEC is very good. Tennessee, you could throw Missouri in there. Ole Miss is another team. The Big Ten is loaded at the very top with Ohio State, Oregon. I say what you will about Michigan. They could sneak into the playoffs this year if they win 10 games. I mean, is there anybody challenging them, Christian, from the ACC? Is it? I mean, I know I'm not that high on Florida State or Clemson this year. I think Miami's going to win the ACC. That's a hot take in itself. As far as the Big 12, we talked about it. Utah, K-State. I mean, could you see a couple of those teams in a 12-team playoff format? Back to back, trying to knock off teams like Ole Miss, Alabama, Ohio State.
Well, the season's going to get longer, and like we knew last year, when the season gets like kind of elongated like this, like you look at Florida State last year when Jordan Travis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just want to make sure. When Jordan Travis went down last year, that wasn't even like in a major game either.
No,
right?
that was against some shitty.
Yeah. So it was like Duquesne or something like that, right?
Yeah, it was some no-name team at the end of the year they had scheduled, basically.
So it's like if it can happen against them, like it could happen in an SEC championship game. It could happen in a Big Ten championship game where like Carson Beck or Will Howard or any of those guys, end up just getting hurt, and you don't want to say that. You don't want to see that, I think, obviously. But I think it's a situation to where if that does happen, then that's probably the clearest path for somebody to upset and kind of make it into, the playoffs. But you're going to sorry, go ahead.
No, I know you're exactly right. I mean, there is a potential for that happening because somebody's going to get hurt. I mean, that happens. What team do you think then has the best chance of making it outside of an SEC or a Big Ten team then, Christian? Where would you put your money on, or who would you put them on, or where would you put your money on, as far as what team? Would it be maybe Notre Dame, somebody like that who's not in a conference?
I would say probably a combination of either like Notre Dame or like Florida State, like you said, somebody like that.
Okay.
Because I feel like, Florida State, like, I mean, you could make the argument about Clemson. Like if they could figure it out on offense, like they've definitely got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
If that offense just like explodes and it comes out of nowhere, then like Clemson could absolutely go on a run and get back to like where they are. But like we talked about Clemson, like the thing that makes college football so hard is you got to invest in the transfer portal, and Clemson hasn't done that. And I think until they make that commitment, it's just going to be extremely difficult to really be able to keep up with anything serious in college football, I would say. So I think Florida State, if everything can kind of align and everybody can get on, because Florida State has a pretty easy schedule, I think, right? Like the first 5, 6, 7 games, something like that's pretty easy. They really don't, like, they have time to gel. They have time to probably stay pretty healthy and, get a lot of guys rotated in and out. So I think like Florida State could, I think Florida State can make a run at it. Like we said, the other thing about Clemson is they're not guaranteed anything, man. They got a pretty tough schedule, and they got to play Georgia week 1. I think, like you said, I mean, they got a couple of like really tough games in there, and they got to get shit figured out, or they're not even going to make it to the playoff.
Yeah, I would have to say for me, it would probably be Notre Dame, strictly because of the lack of schedule. They got A&M. I think they have like Louisville. Maybe they have. I think they have Florida State actually on the schedule as well. If that Notre Dame offense really goes well with Riley Leonard and what Freeman wants to do there, I think they have a chance because the defense is going to be good at Notre Dame. They're known for defense. I will also say this, though. I like Miami. I know you are off on them, but I like Cam Ward. I think he'll fit in well. The big thing with me is Cristobal, as long as he doesn't make dumb play calls and does the right thing, I think they can win some football games this year. I think that defense is going to be really, really good, though, this year for Miami. I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's a team that I kind of like if I had to answer that question.
Yeah, I'll give you another one, too. It's a shot in the dark. Kennesaw State. Let's go.
Woo!
Gives a hoot. Those Owls do. That's who.
Yeah, Kennesaw State. No. 90% of people are like, where's that at?
Are going to get trashed this year. I'd be shocked if they win like 2 games this year, honestly.
The over and under is at 1.5.
Well, take that under. I'm surprised that shit didn't open up at like half.
Half? No, it's 1.5. I actually saw that the other day. I was kind of laughing. I thought of you. I was like, holy shit, that's Christian's team.
I mean,
he'd probably smash the over.
That's literally the lowest it can get, right?
Yeah, it was one of the lowest I've ever seen. I'm like, holy shit. Like Stanford, I think, is like a 2 or 2.5. And I'm like, holy hell, man, like 1.5. But you guys are new to the D1 and coming over, it's going to be tough for a couple of years for Kennesaw State for sure. But
yeah,
why not?
I mean, why not me? They're primed for success. But yeah, I mean, they're going to have to do a lot of work. I think, like you said, but in all honesty, in all seriousness, getting back to this, I think expanding the playoffs, it makes it infinitely harder for these, small, like for a TCU. Ooh. Or, for like and I would say Cincinnati, but we know what happened with that. Like for a TCU or even a Washington for that matter, to make like a big run in the playoffs. Because like I think if you think about like if Washington last year played Alabama, if Washington last year played Ohio State, if Washington last year played Georgia, what would we say would happen?
Right. No, that was my point when I said that this whole thing, it's going to be, that's why I say no, because it's like so hard for a team like that to win consecutive games, right? Like it's hard enough to get into the 4 team, but yeah, you're right. If Washington would have played Alabama last year, Chris, I know who you're taking in that game. I know if Washington had played Georgia, I know who you're taking in that game. I'm not saying it would have happened, but I would have been on the side. And I can tell you the betting public would have been too. Yeah, we're leaning Alabama. We're leaning Georgia. Nothing against Washington in the season they had, but you kind of saw what happened when somebody played some real smash mouth football against them, right? Especially in that second half of that Washington-Michigan game.
Absolutely. We'll answer some questions here. You guys going to do a preseason playoff picture? Yeah, I think we might try to get one of those out, like on the Saturday show or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of have one actually drafted up on my PC, kind of what I thought. And I did release a top 25 poll, by the way, guys. Check that out. Let me know how dumb I is on that. So kind of some controversial teams I put in there too, Christian. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Kennesaw State was just outside that. No, I did put Nebraska. Hell, I'd put Kennesaw State in there before I put Nebraska. You know what happened if I put Nebraska in the top 25 poll? Actually, believe it or not, though, Joel Klatt put Nebraska in his top 25, though. Swear to God. Couldn't believe it.
Did he really?
Yes, he did.
All right.
He's high on the Huskers this year, boys. Super high.
I don't know. I think Nebraska would be a top 25 team at the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, that's when I did it. It's a preseason. It's not where I think teams are going to finish, just kind of a combination this offseason and what happened last year with those teams. But you're right. Nebraska, if they do what they're supposed to do this year, could potentially find themselves maybe cracking the top 25, which would make me really, really happy. I'm sure Children of the Corn would be ecstatic. That means we won probably 9 games or more. Zach Leeson would be very happy. A lot of the Husker fan base would be going nuts, man. And then you know what the expectation would be for next year, though, right?
Oh, Natty.
Yeah, 100% Natty. 100%
Natty.
Natty.
Yeah, it's just give it to him, dude. Shit, you know what?
Oh, there it is.
We'll go ahead and break this bad boy out. Let's see if everybody can see it.
Yeah, I-80 boys off-season championship trophy.
Yeah, right there for you guys. We gotta crown somebody this year. We gotta crown an off-season champion.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think Ohio State's up in the running for it.
Ooh.
Penn State was probably our pick last year.
They were our pick last year.
Or Colorado, I feel like last year. That would have
that could have been split. That could have been split. I would probably say I had to go Ohio State, man. It's been a lot of talk about Ohio State. Yeah, that'd be a tough one this year, man. There's been a lot of good stuff. I could say Michigan just with all the drama going on, man. I mean,
I love how this problem.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I love how this started off as like a satirical thing where we just were gonna make fun of the most annoying fan bases, and now it's probably gonna turn into like just like an actual participation trophy.
Yeah. I give it to the Florida Gators, man. That's right there, man.
Oh shit.
So.
Where's our Gator guy? I think we pissed him off, dude.
Yeah, I did. I always piss him off. He'll come back. He can't help himself, but not show up for the show.
I did too. I messed around and said they were going to go like 3-9, and then I was like, I don't think so. And then I saw like one of their defensive ends, I think their defensive tackle or whatever. Somebody got hurt for Florida, out for the season again too. So it's like, oh, well, like it was one of their best defenders, I think. And I'm like, well, that's not good.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I mean, I'm just trying to think here. We'll take a look. Let's see if this will open up here. Look at some of these preseason All-Americans here, according to ESPN. We'll look at that.
I think that's loading. I know I did look at it this morning. They had some pretty good. There's your boy on there at QB.
Starting off strong. That means only go down from here, I guess. I don't know. Just give him the Heisman already.
He should be, though. I think he'll be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, personally.
Yeah. I think it'll be, pretty interesting. You think he's cut from that same cloth as like Stafford?
Yeah, I don't know what like arm strength, like actually throwing the ball like super far or anything. I don't think Stafford's still one of the best. I think though his intermediate passing game though, Christian, is what really sticks out to me with Carson Beck. He's tall, kind of long, and boy, he could throw a dart, on a 20-yard out route, man. He's very accurate that way. That's one thing I really noticed with him. Watching him the last season was very impressive for me, and the completion percentage was really good too, and you love that, right? That's one of the most important stats there is. So would I put him on Stafford's level? Not probably yet, but man, he's good though. He's a good quarterback. He's the best quarterback I've seen for Georgia since Stafford, as far as talent goes, though. Nothing to get your boy Stetson Bennett.
Oh yeah. By the way, if we lose connection, I just heard some thunder, and I didn't really realize that thunder and wind and everything like that, out here in the Midwest, causes power outages like very frequently. So
yeah,
just be aware. So, looking at Ollie Gordon, thoughts on that?
Like it. Probably, I don't want to say a shoe-in for the Doak Walker this year. He'll be really good. The kid from North Carolina. And then I've been talking about him a lot this offseason. You know me, Christian, myself, and Donovan Edwards, man. I think he's going to have a big year this year.
Uncle Lou's top 5 were back. He had Jesus coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. That's what I like to see. This guy looks like an LSU fan. I love it. I love it.
Riled up the LSU fan base. I'm not gonna lie there for a minute.
Yeah.
I think LSU can make a run at it. I mean,
man, I just got to see the defense, bro. God, their defense sucked last year. They could get that turned around.
There's a lot of teams that we said, like Iowa, like last year. We said with Iowa, like their offense, we're like, there's no way their offense could be just as bad this year. Like it's not possible. And it was possible.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if LSU had any sort of defense last season, man, that offense was freaking amazing, man. Daniels was unreal. I do think Nussmeier's going to be really good, though, too. Like I said, that's one thing about LSU you don't have to worry about, man. They got a huge talent pool down there. Just they need to get that defense shored up. Give it up 40 points a game. Hard to win in the SEC week in and week out.
100%. 100%.
Hey.
Your boy,
yes.
Luther Burden, the third. Yeah, probably will be. I think he is the best receiver in football this year.
I like him a lot. I put him up there. What's the kid from Ohio State that's going to be really good? Devin Brown. I know he hasn't played any yet. He's that freshman or whatever his name is. Not Devin Brown. What the hell's his name?
Becca Buka?
No. Buka's back, but they got this freshman kid everybody keeps talking about. I am drawing a complete blank, but he is going to be really, really good too. I keep seeing stuff out of reports from him from camp or whatever. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this kid. I should know his name, but he's going to be really good as well. But you're right though. Buka's there. He's going to have a big year too this year.
Jeremiah Smith.
Yes, Jeremiah Smith. Yes, that's the kid I'm thinking of, man. He is. Whew. I saw some of his catches he's made in practice, dude. It's like, holy shit, dude.
I want to go back for a second here. They put Omarion Hampton from North Carolina over Quinshon Judkins. A little controversial. Is this ESPN and them trying to stir up some drama here?
Man, you watch this Hampton kid play. He is really, really good. Obviously, to make this list, you have to be good. But Quinshon Judkins, I love him a lot. You know that, Christian. I think the problem that I have with Judkins, though, is that he's going to kind of be splitting carries with what's his bucket back there?
Henderson.
Travion Henderson. I think that might hurt the stats wise because that's kind of what plays into some of this All-American stuff. So, like, I think that'll hurt him a little bit because those guys are both really good. Definitely starters anywhere else in the country. But yeah,
my boy. How do you say that? Tatoria McMillan. Yeah, I mean, we talked about him a little bit. I think he's going to be he's going to be really good this year.
Yeah.
Corey Horton out of Colorado State. Man, you don't see a whole lot of Colorado State players in the All-American list.
No, you don't. I have seen this kid play, though. He is very good. He's talked about a lot. He's in some draft boards already for this year. I saw that. That's who that kid is.
Holston Loveland. We'll talk about this here for a second. Why not? Michigan's got to find a quarterback before we start worrying about tight ends and shit,
Yeah. They say that about Iowa every year, though, too. And they put out some stud tight ends. I know they don't get as much love as they probably should there, but then they go to the NFL and they're, superstars over there.
Oh, you're right. I'm pretty sure that their lead receiver last year was a tight end and he only had like 250 yards.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah.
I don't know how much it was. You know what? I'm actually curious. Hold on one second. I want to look that up for a second. I want to look up a little bit of some Iowa stuff here. I just want to see what it was. Hold on one second. I'm curious. Chris, before I pull this up, what do you think? Give me a number. What you think Iowa's leading receiver last year had?
Oh my God. Leading receiver, not their tight end, right? Leading receiver.
Yeah, lead receiver. Who had what do you think the most receiving yards on that team were from last year?
Oh my God, this number, I know. I'm going to say 250.
Man. I was kidding when I threw that number out. It was actually a tight end and he had 299 yards.
But the receiver, yes, 255. I was close. But yeah, you're right. It's that freaking bad though, bro. I mean, how sad is that? There's guys that get that in a game. Holy shit.
Now you might be right though. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Iowa's a whole different beast though. They said you got my body double. I actually looked it up. He's at Utah Community College of the Technical School for the Blind or something like that now. So, he's I think literally the school mascot's the Trailblazer. So he's a trailblazer for all people that are 280 plus, trying to play quarterback. So
yes, Jared Lorenzen 2.0, but not near the arm talent nor the stats. That kid was terrible, Christian. God, he was bad.
Yeah, I like Brant Kuthi. Guy's been around football forever. You got I'm drawing a blank now. Come on now.
Cam Rising.
I don't know why I drew a blank on that. It's because they kept going up and down with him last year. I think every game he was week to week, and then finally, they got almost done with the season. They're like, yeah, he's just going to sit the year out. And we're like, I think we knew that.
Yeah, no, he's back. He's like on his 7th year, man. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt again. But man, that's why I like Utah this year. If he stays healthy with that defense, man, and obviously he's got an elite tight end too. This kid's a stud. So,
100%. Will Campbell, Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, Parker Brailsford. Thing about that is, as long as he can just snap the football, I think Alabama's going to be just fine. I think that was majority of their problem at points last year.
Dude, that offensive line for Bama this year is amazing, though. They're going to run the shit out of the football. I know if I was DeBoer, that's what I would do with, was it Justin Haynes? Is that his name back there? God, he's a stud, too. It would not shock me if Bama leads the country in rushing this year.
I can see it. Just pivot. Like, you think they're going to come out and try to do what, like, Penix and them did? You know what I mean? Like, just throw it.
I don't think you can with Milroe's arm, can you? Not the way he completes short intermediate routes.
I don't think so. But I mean, again, you never know. Maybe Milroe surprised me last year. Like I said, I mean, he can throw it. It's just, can he progress enough in this offseason, in this offense to do it, and it's like, you still want him to be able to run if things break down, but you don't want him to get to a point where he's trying to read and process everything. Like, that was the thing they were talking about with Justin Fields, like with when he was with the Bears. It was just like he just wasn't playing football. He was just trying to process everything. He was just being so over analytical about everything.
Yeah, I think like I said, if I'm Bama, I run the ball. You use Milroe's legs because he's an elite level athlete. I mean, he can throw the ball a little bit. He definitely impressed me last year at times. It's just he does really struggle though with those intermediate routes and, like you said, getting through those reads, right? That throw, over the linebacker between the safety. I mean, it's just tough. And I'm sure he's gotten better. It's just going to be interesting to see what Bama is this year because, like I said, they should be able to run the ball with these great offensive linemen and a couple good running backs as well.
Oh yeah. By the way, Gator Swag came in last weekend without college football. Let's go. I mean, we're almost in there, man.
Let's go,
like
man.
You said we're almost there, and I'm excited. Can't wait. I mean, I can't believe I'm hyped for Georgia Tech playing Florida State.
I am. I bet my mortgage on it.
Oh
no, I didn't.
Who'd you take? Florida State?
I took Georgia Tech at the points, man. I took 13 points, dude. I think that's that should be like an 8.5 or 9, man. I know people think it's crazy. I know, not that I love Georgia Tech by any means, but you Florida State people, man, I think you guys are living on the edge this year, thinking they're going to be really, really good. I think it's going to be tough for Florida State this year.
Travis Hunter, all purpose. I mean, I agree with that. I mean,
yeah.
So no defense. James Pierce Jr.
That guy's a stud.
Yeah, he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
He's going to be really good. Dual Carter out of Penn State. Mason Graham out of Michigan. I like that. Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of this.
No. Mason Graham's, man, he was a stud last year. This kid's good too. We talked about him. Remember that kid? Yeah, he's yeah, we'll see how Kentucky is this year, but their defense should be solid as well. So he's a big part of that.
Nick Sorton, Texas A&M. Man, like we said, I think Elko, we know what he is as a defensive coordinator. And like I said, I watched their spring game. And again, I understand you can't really glean everything from a spring game, but I think their defense is going to be really, really good. I mean, they were good under Fisher, but I think they're going to be even better somehow under Elko. It's the offense I'm worried about, obviously. Yeah, I think this kid can eat.
Yeah, no, this kid's good. He played at Purdue last year. He was a monster over at Purdue. It's surprised he ended up there, but yeah, the defense will be well, man. That's one thing I like about Mike Elko, man. He had what he did with those defenses at Duke, dude, of all places, man. They were really, really good, and I don't see that changing, especially with the talent pool at A&M.
Yeah, and Michael Williams, out of Georgia. I think, second team All-American, I think is right on with it. I think the thing with Michael Williams is, what made some of those Georgia edge rushers so good for such a long time was they had really good defensive tackles, that could kind of command double teams and then force one-on-one type situations. You know what I mean? It could, you start moving that pocket up and forcing those quarterbacks to go out. You just got to like hang, contain, and then boom, you get your sacks in there. So I think with Michael Williams, if the defensive tackles take a step forward for Georgia this season, no reason why he shouldn't be an All-American.
No, he'll be a stud. Yeah, you guys should have multiple people on this list.
Barrett Carter. Man, I feel like Barrett Carter. I feel like I've heard that name before. I feel like that's like a guy that's been in college forever, right?
He's been there for a while. Yeah, I think so. He's I remember him though. Kid's good. Obviously, he's an All-American, but then same with the Danny Stutzman kid. He's been there a while. He had a boatload of tackles last year too. That kid from Oklahoma as well. He had
what was it, over 100 tackles?
Like 130.
104 tackles, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. 100. Yeah, that's insane for one guy. Harold Perkins.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think last year, I mean, his numbers, I think they were talking about here, like they moved him to like an inside backer spot. His numbers kind of dipped a little bit.
They did.
And, looked at his, but, again, like he's talented enough. I think he can make that transition. I think he can be okay. So
how many SEC players are on this defensive list, man? I swear it's like 75% of them are all SEC guys.
Go back 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's what I mean, man.
Seven.
Yeah, Malachi Starks, man, that kid's a stud too. Caleb Downs, holy shit, he was a Bama kid last year. God, he had an amazing year for a freshman. I agree with this list though. This is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I agree with it. Like I said, sometimes you look at some of these lists and you're like, what in the hell are they talking about, man? Like they just pull shit out of like nowhere. Like somebody from, Kennesaw State, for the example, on there, and you're like, what are you talking about?
Right. Now, this should be there's some good players in here. Like I said, this year's defense is in the SEC, man. I think got some dogs down there, dude. Just players across the board for every team. It's crazy.
100%. Well, guys, I think we've reached that time. Like I said, we've been on for about 50 minutes now. So, yeah, I think we'll be back again on Saturday. Probably around 10 or so in the morning. And
yeah, check us out, guys. We'll be up early. Damn near a week away when we get to Saturday, man. So that's going to be fun. We got a couple hot topics. Some of you guys missed some of our topics. If not, check back. If you guys would, though, appreciate if you hit this thumbs up button. That would be amazing. Helps the channel grow and get out there. Anything else you'd like to add, Christian?
Man, make it a good rest of the week. Let's get to the weekend. Not that much longer. About a week or so, and then we're ready to go.
Oh yeah.
So,